Football has always produced villains. This isn't just about players being bad guys, it's about how modern football turns split-second decisions into global controversies within minutes. So let's get into it. These are the 7 footballers the internet hasn't stopped hating on recently, and the very different reasons why. We'll start with Enzo Fernandez, because no player on this list has stacked controversy on top of controversy quite like him. It began at the 2024 Copa America when Fernandez live-streamed a video from Argentina's team bus of players singing a chant containing offensive lyrics aimed at French players and their African roots. Chelsea teammate Wesley Fofana called it out publicly and unfollowed him, and the French Federation lodged a formal complaint. Fernandez apologised to his teammates and donated to an anti-discrimination charity, but the damage to his reputation stuck. Then came this summer's World Cup. Argentina beat England 2-1 in an ill-tempered semi-final, with Fernandez scoring the equaliser. And the celebrations afterwards saw the players parade a controversial and political banner, reigniting the Falklands dispute and prompting the UK government to demand a FIFA investigation. Asked afterwards whether he hated England, Fernandez tried to explain there were no hard feelings by pointing out that the people who help around his house in London are English. It was meant as a gesture of goodwill. Instead, it detonated online, with critics mocking him for essentially saying he couldn't hate English people because some of them work for him. And his tournament didn't get any calmer from there. He picked up a second yellow card and was sent off in the World Cup final itself. All this, plus his fouls and dirty displays, alongside the entire Argentine squad, has left a bad taste in people's mouths, with some Chelsea fans even going as far as to say that he needs to be sold. Speaking of that final whistle chaos, nobody embodied it more than Leandro Paredes. Argentina's defeat to Spain should have ended with handshakes. Instead, cameras caught Paredes squaring up to Eric Garcia and appearing to grab him by the throat before wrestling Barcelona teenager Gavi to the ground. Lionel Scaloni rushed over to break it up, but not before Paredes had already earned himself a red card in a match Argentina had just lost. Former England goalkeeper Joe Hart didn't hold back afterward, calling the scene disgusting behaviour. What makes it sting is the timing. This wasn't a reckless tackle in the 89th minute with the game still alive. The whistle had blown. Spain were world champions, and Paredes was still fighting. For a player already known for his fiery streak, it became the moment his aggression finally looked like it was serving nobody but his own temper. FIFA do not seem to have taken kindly to the matter, with Paredes very likely soon being on the end of a lengthy ban, alongside the Argentina FA, for the political banner in the semis and their players' behaviour in the final. From one Argentine controversy to a very different kind of Argentine story, Alejandro Garnacho has somehow managed to wear out his welcome at 2 massive clubs in under a year. After falling out with Ruben Amorim at Manchester United, being left out of the 2025 Europa League final squad, and reportedly training away from the first team, Garnacho forced through a £40 million move to Chelsea. Former United midfielder Nicky Butt didn't mince words afterward, branding his old academy's product attitude a disgrace, and saying that he'd gotten superstar status way too quickly. The problem is that Chelsea hasn't exactly been the fresh start that he was hoping for either. Reports emerged this year that the club was already open to selling him after barely a season, with insiders describing the £40 million signing as not working out. When United beat Chelsea 1-0 this spring, former teammate Luke Shaw posted a photo of himself shoving Garnacho to the ground, captioned in a way that made clear old wounds hadn't healed. That post was liked by virtually the entire squad, showing even his old teammates don't seem to like him much. Talented? Undeniably, but increasingly seen by 2 different fan bases as more trouble than he's worth. Now, Alexander Sørloth is proof of just how brutal football fandom can get over a single decision. Norway were leading 1-0 in their World Cup quarter-final in Miami when Martin Ødegaard split the defence to set up a 2-on-1 break. Sørloth and a completely unmarked Erling Haaland against a single English defender. Instead of squaring it, Sørloth hesitated, took an extra touch and shot himself. The effort was blocked. Haaland threw his hands up in disbelief, and England came back to win 2-1 courtesy of a Jude Bellingham brace. Sorloth was honest about it afterward, admitting, "The only thing I want in that situation is to pass to Erling. Then it feels like that pass isn't there, and then I go for the shot." That honestly didn't stop the pile-on. Fans accused him of everything from selfishness to secret jealousy of Haaland's stardom, and the backlash reportedly escalated into death threats. Haaland had become the World Cup's darling at that point, and the hate towards Sorloth from the media, fans, and casuals was relentless. There's no evidence Sorloth was motivated by anything other than instinct in a split second. But once the internet decides a story, the real explanation rarely gets a hearing. If Sorloth shows how quickly heroes can become villains, Federico Valverde shows how fast a captain's armband can turn scrutiny into a full-blown storyline. For years, he was one of the most admired players at Real Madrid. Humble, hard-working, universally respected. That reputation took a hit this year when he and French teammate Aurélien Tchouameni were involved in back-to-back training ground clashes just days apart. The second incident left Valverde needing stitches for a facial cut and briefly being taken to hospital by wheelchair, with the club later confirming a head injury and fining both players €500,000 each. Valverde insisted afterward that "my teammate didn't hit me, nor did I hit him," blaming a collision with a table brought on by fatigue and frustration. This was on the back of some controversies with former boss Xabi Alonso. Whatever actually happened behind closed doors, the optics were damaging for a captain, especially with Uruguay then crashing out of the World Cup at the group stage soon after, leaving Valverde facing questions both at club and country level about a season that had completely unraveled around him. Then there's Matías Galazza, and to understand why he's on the list, you first have to understand that this isn't really about one man. It's about an entire team that decided football wasn't the priority that day, with Galazza standing front and center as the face of it. When Paraguay met France in the round of 16, they didn't just defend deep and hope for a smash and grab. They fouled relentlessly, faked injuries, and dragged out every stoppage they could find. One report clocked their average time on a Paraguayan goal kick at 62 seconds against France's 5. Galazza appeared to catch Kylian Mbappe with a clenched fist strike away from the ball that somehow escaped both the referee and VAR, then walked over to scuff up the penalty spot right before Mbappe's own kick, only to be shoved away by Dembele. Not a single Paraguay player was even booked, and somewhere in the middle of all of it, Galazza had already gone viral days earlier for picking up a referee's dropped watch mid-scuffle and casually trying it on his own wrist before handing it back. Individually, that moment was almost charming. Stacked on top of the France performance, it read as exactly what critics accused the whole team of being: more interested in games than in the game itself. Galazza became the clown prince of a team the entire football world decided simply hadn't come to play. And finally, Simon Adingra, whose story might be the saddest on this list, because it really isn't about villainy at all. In the closing minutes of Ivory Coast's group stage clash with Germany, Nicolas Pepe surged forward and squared the ball into what looked like an open net. Adingra hesitated and, instead of shooting, awkwardly knocked the ball out toward the sideline. Germany broke away and Deniz Undav scored the winner soon after in a 2-1 defeat. That single frozen moment, replayed endlessly online, became the entire story of Ivory Coast's tournament, with fans imagining the goal, the draw, maybe even the win. Nobody accused Adingra of malice. He simply hesitated for a fraction of a second on the biggest stage of his career. And in today's football culture, that's sometimes all it takes to become infamous. Some of these players are hated for what they actually did. Others are hated for what fans only believe they did. And in modern football, that second kind of hatred might be the more powerful one. Do you think that we left anyone off the list? Let us know in the comments. Remember to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel. Also, be sure to turn on post notifications so that you never miss out any new videos. We'll catch you next time. Bye.